The Thermaltake Level 20 RGB Battlestation Desk is an absolute tank. Coming in at 80 kilograms, I really felt sorry for the courier bringing it into my front door. The packaged up desk comes in at a reasonable size. This is due to the actual desktop being cut in half to reduce on packaging size. There are a lot of parts to the Battlestation, and I mean a lot. It took me nearly as long to unpack everything than it did to build it. Building the desk took about 30 to 45 minutes, and I found the instruction manual did its job. I had no "I'm confused" moments or bolts left over at the end. Once together, this thing is sturdy. The tabletop itself is 30 kilograms. Yes, 30 kilograms, and is 32 millimeters thick. Made from MDF with a black laminate top to keep water out is what you'd expect from something like this. A thick piece of MDF here in Australia this size will set you back at least $100. Covering the top is a huge black TT mousepad like mat with cutout slits which line up with the holes in the tabletop for passing cables through. Dimensions of the tabletop come in at 1.6 meters long by 700 millimeters wide, which is a rather decent sized desk. As this is an electric sit and stand desk, Thermaltake have sourced one of the beefiest motors I've seen, allowing a total lift weight of 150 kilograms, and that's excluding the already 30 kilogram top. Even I would have trouble coming close to putting 150 kilograms of gear on the desk. Height adjustment is from 700 millimeters at its lowest all the way to 1100 millimeters at its highest, and takes roughly 25 seconds. Controlling the desk height is done via a small screen unit that sits out from the desk on the right hand side. Very simple to use with up and down arrows with the screen showing its current height. There's also 4 programmable height settings you can save for, say, a one-touch standing height and sitting height, or if more than one person uses the desk, they can save their preferred desk height. A 110/240 volt AC to DC adapter with an output of 29 volts and 6 amps powers the desk, and all cables and the power pack are hidden nicely under the desk. Construction wise of the desk frame is good, and even at its full height there is no wobbling. I use lift stand desks at my actual daytime job, and even they are much less sturdy. Especially when mounting LCD monitors to the desk, the last thing you want when gaming are the screens bouncing around. I do like the inclusion of a cable management tray at the back, and Thermaltake haven't skimped out on this. There's plenty of room for power boards, cables and so on. Lastly, the desk is of course covered in RGB, which runs a full 360 degrees around the edge of the desk via clip-on brackets. RGB is hidden inside this rubber rope tube, then is fed back to a custom Thermaltake RGB controller. This then plugs into a standard USB port for controlling and syncing with TT's RGB ecosystem. Here we were able to sync the desk up with our whole setup, including Ring Trio fans, CPU cooler, PSU and peripherals. One thing I did notice with the brackets that hold the RGB strips, and I saw this at Computex as well, I actually reversed the side brackets so the fronts were to the back and the backs were to the front. I'm not sure if this was a design fault in the manual, but doing this allows for a much cleaner look, as you now have the curve and no join at the front, as opposed to originally having a right angle and joins at the front rather than at the back. Now there's really just one thing that bothers me with this desk, and that is the price. You're looking at $1,100 US or $1,599 Australian. Now I know the RGB is going to sort of add a bit to the desk, but being Thermaltake, they've been doing RGB for years. They know what they're doing when it comes to RGB, so sourcing it and cost-wise, it shouldn't be too bad for them. Now I know the desk does have a rather beefy motor. It does have to lift the already 30 kilo tabletop, and it does have the lifting weight of 150 kilos, so that's nearly 200 kilos all up. But I can't see how those extra features are going to add nearly 3 times the cost to a standard lift and height electronic desk, because in Australia you can pick up a electronic desk for about $600–700, so you're looking at more than pretty much double and a bit for this desk. Now, one other area I sort of came across was, I saw this at Computex as well, when you are gaming and your hands are on your keyboard and mouse, your wrists do sort of slide along the rubberized RGB strip at the front. Now for me it wasn't too bad, but as I said, it is a rubberized material, so it does catch your skin a bit. So now you could always move the mouse pad over the top, but once you've got your gear on it, you're not going to be able to move this mouse pad at all, and it kind of defeats the purpose. If you do have an RGB desk, you are going to be covering it with the mouse pad at the front. So just bear in mind, to those people who have sensitive skin, you are going to get that weird feeling of your skin gripping on the front. Now that also brings me to the RGB on this desk. Now I really love my RGB, especially in PC cases, desk ambient lighting, but to me having RGB all around your desk at the front, at the sides, it does seem a little bit weird, especially at the front. If you're gaming here, you've just got this sort of glow coming down in front of you. Your keyboard's not too bad because it is subtle, but on this is very, very bright. I am used to sort of gaming with an RGB at the back, sort of glowing on the wall, but having it on the front and the sides just doesn't seem quite right. I did have a thought that in the Thermaltake software, maybe I can reach out to them, and because this is addressable, I can't see why you can't sort of address certain lengths of it. So if you want to turn off the front, you can. If you want to turn off the side, you can. If you want to leave only the back on, maybe that's an option. I can reach out to them, and then they can configure that into the software, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who doesn't want to have this RGB just glaring at the front. The sides and the back would be good for that. Now, one last thing I did on this desk, I did this purely for the review. It doesn't come like this. I added wheels onto the legs. I added 4 wheels just so I can move this around. I've got it locked now, but each wheel is locked, but I did put wheels on it. It was a little bit harder than I thought. There is an M10 thread on the base of each sort of leg that goes out. I simply first off just put a standard caster wheel on. I think each caster could do 30 kilos. So that was 369, 120 all up I could do. But because the caster wheel, the gravity isn't at the center, as soon as I put it on, it kind of just sort of bent, and the thread underneath that was sort of welded on that leg started to bend a bit. So what I had to do was add a square metal plate that protruded out a little bit, and then when I put the wheel on, it sort of held the weight much better. So just a tip, if you're doing that, you just can't screw an M10 wheel inside it, because that little plate that holds it, because it's off center, it just sort of rocks it and it wants to rip it out. So just keep in mind with that, because once this desk is in place with gear on, there is no way you are moving it. These feet are slightly rubberized, so once this goes on, it's not going to slide. If you're on carpet, you'll probably rip your carpet up. If you're on vinyl or something, it's probably going to leave a mark. So just a little tip, and it can be done as well. And then lastly, as I mentioned earlier about the sides, especially reversing them, I've done it. I've reversed them from day one since I've done it. This is the front of the desk now. I've got the nice corners here. I've got no joins of the RGB strip here. I've got the nice curve, and I've got the joins of the RGB at the back, which this will be the back, and then I've got the right angle at the back. So I'll reach out to Thermaltake. They can probably update the manual for that. But yeah, that's it. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank Thermaltake for sending this out. I don't think they sent too many of these desks out, especially at this price. I might even reach out to them and sort of ask them what justifies this price tag for this desk, because you basically can say, look, do I want to buy a new gaming PC, or do I want to buy this desk instead? But yeah, that's it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more videos.